Hi guys, how are you today? This is Trinity. Today's video is going to be about the Fool's Journey in Tarot. Now, there are a lot of videos on YouTube right now about the Fool's Journey. I added to this a once upon a time perspective. So, if you're a beginner, maybe this video will help you. My goal is to help you guys understand the tarot, to help with the understanding of what the tarot represents in its essence. This is my understanding of the Fool's Journey in a fun fairy tale sense. So let's go. Once upon a time, there was a young boy. He lived in a castle in the mountains where the only interaction he had was with the people he resided with. While he was taught some things, he beckoned for knowledge, always in search of something more. One day he told his parents he needed to set out on his own to be introduced to life and what it had to offer elsewhere. In his time, which was long ago, it was customary that at some point a child, whether male or female, was allowed to venture out on their own to learn about the world and survive whatever tasks are thrown their way. So he said his goodbyes to his family and everyone that resided at the castle. His hopes set high, he took a small bag and off he went. He came to a cliff first, and a small dog lured him away by showing him the danger of the edge. He then understood his journey would not be without danger and risk. Surrounded by mountains, he went on. His first encounter was with the magician. The magician teaches motivation, that action is the first step to beginning and bringing your goals to fruition. He then hands the fool 4 items: a cup, a wand, a sword, and coins, explaining he will need these items to survive. Still in the mountains, he comes to a beautiful temple where he meets the high priestess. Okay. She spends most of her time alone, and she walks between realms. She lives a dual life and is more private yet feminine. She teaches that you need awareness of the self in order to gain wisdom. Her messages are sent through the mind. Feeling excited with his new items and some awareness, he presses on. He then comes across the Empress, seated in an earthly paradise, near a river where corn grows. All the trees bore full, beautiful leaves and fruit. She likes to remain outdoors, appreciating nature. She offers him how to connect with his roots and go with the flow of life. She tells about the relationship. Let me just add the Empress here. I forgot to throw her in there. She tells about the relationship and abundance, explaining a little bit about the birds and the bees, if you will. The Empress speaks to him in a low, loving, motherly voice. As he gets ready to move on, she stops him. The Empress looks softly at the blooming young boy and says, "Make certain that you announce yourself to my husband, the Emperor. You are sure to see him next. You will hear him before you see him, for he is very bold and has a high tone. But he is also protective of his kingdom, so beware." Off the boy goes. We are just going to take her away and show you who he meets next, which is the Emperor. Suddenly he hears the loud speaking of a man's voice. "I hear something and see the tops of my trees moving. Who goes there?" The boy replies, It is I, sir. I'm just a boy passing through in my travels. I mean no harm to you or your kingdom. As he pushes through the trees, he sees a man sitting on a throne outside looking over his land. What's your business here, boy? The boy replies, I'm merely on a quest to gain knowledge and enlightenment. It is clear that the emperor is protective of his kingdom and is also a kind man, and as it turns out, has some things to offer the boy. He explains he is the emperor and teaches him courage, manners, and kindness, but also being able to lead and protect what is his. Again, the boy thanks him for his help and understanding of his presence. As the boy walked on, he kept in his mind the folks he had come across so far on his journey. Starting with the magician, who used mostly gestures to teach the boy what he needed to set out with. Then the high priestess, who silently taught him through meditation and mental telepathy. The empress, who spoke, but in a light, loving voice, and then the emperor, who was loud and boisterous. He was growing and getting older, beginning to understand that in life, almost everything and everyone you meet teaches you something. Important or not, there's a lesson to be learned. And on he walked. And next, he met the Hierophant, or high priest, if you will. He speaks to the boy about unity. He teaches the boy to follow a higher path and about spirituality. He lectures as an inspiring leader does. The boy moves on. Next, he meets the lovers. Two people standing in a garden surrounded by temptation. He watches and listens to how they get along and work together to form a bond while leaping over barriers to get to each other and stay together. He continues to watch, not knowing what to expect, and thinking all the while, this is what love is. This is what the Empress spoke of. These two people would jump through a ring of fire just to get to each other and then embrace in a lovingly way. He gathered up all his knowledge and moved on. Getting older, growing, becoming more mature. He comes across the chariot with a man. The man has moons on his shoulders and a big star on his crown. He is of some loyal and royal importance. He too is on a journey. Two horses carry him. Or, in this case, sphinxes. The man in the chariot says to the boy, "Boy, where are you going?" And the fool says, "I do not quite yet know. I am just kind of plugging along on a quest to find knowledge, to become enlightened. I have learned some things so far, but I am not done yet. My journey continues." The man on the chariot says, "Good luck in your travels, and victory is something that I wish for you on your journey. Always push forth in everything that you do." And the chariot moved on. And the fool watched as the man had full control of his horses and was steering like he knew exactly where he was going. Next, he stumbled upon a woman. The woman was holding open the jaws of a lion. He watched as she had patience enough to take the time to trust the lion And for the lion to trust her, it was going to take a little bit of time, which is where the patience came in. She was able to wait for the lion to calm down and accept her so that she was able to open his jaws. She talks to the boy like he is not a fool, like he is not a young person. She talks to him like he is an adult. Explains that courage and determination and patience are needed now and in the future. She explains that there may be a time where he has to get a situation or an individual under control. And if there is, you need to act with grace and sensitivity rather than use brute force. He understands, thanks her for her time, and again, he presses forth. Next, the fool runs into the hermit. Now, the hermit stands by himself on a mountaintop. He is by himself at all times. He likes to stay by himself. He is very quiet. He does not say much to the boy. He keeps to himself. But he shows with hand gestures, kind of like the magician, where the light lights the way, his cave that he walks into, where he ponders over the things that he needs to keep to himself, the things that he's learned. Not sure if the man will ever share his secrets with the boy. He waited and listened to what strength the woman who was in a strength position had to say. Patience and grace. And he waited for a day, then 2 days. Finally, the hermit opened up to him when he saw that the fool was not going to leave until he had learned something from him. He learned about healing and self-exploration, that you can enjoy solitude by yourself with your own thoughts and feelings. He learned to meditate and to get to a different state of mind. He learned that he could maybe someday be a mentor. After getting the knowledge from the hermit, he again moved on. He finally came to a village. In this village, there was a store, and in that store was a wheel, which was the Wheel of Fortune. He went up to it. Around the wheel was a bird and a cherub, or an angel. As he walked up to the wheel, the bird and the angel said, "How can we help you?" And the fool asked, "Well, I would like to know what I can learn from you. I've learned from so many already. I've met 9 people in my journey so far, and I have learned quite a bit." And the Wheel of Fortune, the cherub and the bird both answer simultaneously and say, "Well, at this point, you have gained good fortune and luck, and the odds are about to change. You will also gain some intuition. You will become more mature in your travels, and the wheel is forever turning, for life is always turning." So the boy took his information and he moved on. He came again to another temple. When he got to the temple, he went inside thinking maybe he could pray. And before him was a man in robes with a sword in one hand and scales on the other. The man bore on the stone at his feet the words justice. The boy did not understand, so he asked the man, "What does this mean, this justice? If I may speak, sir." And the man says, "Justice is the scales of life. It means that everything that you do will be seen and heard." And the boy said, "Oh, so everything I've done so far, you must have seen." And he said, "Fate sees it. The world sees it. God sees it." He said, "Whatever lie in your path ahead, whatever wrongs or rights you have done along the way, will find you. If you've done good in your travels, then the good things will come to you. But if you've been mischievous or unkind or unfair, that will also follow you." And the boy said, "Thank you for your information, sir. I greatly appreciated it. For I am learning more and more each day, each month, each year that passes." The boy walked out of the building and back out on the streets. He was walking and he started to get close to a cemetery. And right before the cemetery, he saw a man hanging by his ankle from a tree branch, a very big, thick tree branch. And he saw glowing around his head. So he asked the man, "Why do you hang? Are you in the circus?" And the hangman said, "I am hanging. At first, it was for exercise. But then I decided that it felt pretty good hanging like this. I wanted to see how long I could do it for. And the longer I did it, the more enlightened I became. I waited and sacrificed so much just to stay here. Sometimes I feel kind of stuck, but then I realize I'm learning more. It's my journey to be enlightened, to find out more about my inner self." And the fool says, "Why, thank you. That's kind of what I'm doing in my journey. I appreciate your time." And the fool moves on again. He moves into the cemetery. And as he does, he sees a skeleton in a knight's armor on a horse with a flag and people at his feet. When the boy looks at the skeleton, he sees fear. He's fearful. He's scared. He sees transformation and change in the people at his feet. He sees one person that appears passed away from death, and a pope praying, and a woman, and a child. And he's confused. He doesn't understand what's going on. And the man looks down and says clearly, "I am death. My image is unmistakable. I am what you would call the Grim Reaper." And he has a scythe and a hood. Usually he rides a horse. But he's a reminder of our human frailty. Death is the bringer of necessary change. One door opens, another door closes. Or one door closes, another one opens. He is change in its essence. Whether it be an actual physical death, or whether I just be the death of a situation, I am death. The boy says, "Thank you. for your information and enlightening me on what that means. So the boy moves on. Finally, the boy comes to temperance. Now, he meets an angel that is neither male nor female. He cannot tell if the angel is good or bad. Temperance is the man and woman angel that stood before him. He stands there pouring water from one cup to another, showing the fool moderation, explaining to him what reconciliation is and healing and angelic guidance. He tells him sometimes it's good to take a step back, temper your thoughts, find balance and harmony in everything that you may do. The boy looks at the angel and he says, well, I'm not quite sure what some of these things are yet. I am just learning. He said, you will learn to have patience, my son, as time furthers, as time goes on. The boy walks on. The fool starts to grow tired. Very, very tired. He rests for a day. He has met so many so far and decides to get some sleep on his walk. The next day he gets up and he decides, I'm going to start back out on my journey again. And he does. And boy, not what he wanted to see first thing in the morning. He meets the devil with his black bat wings and his ram horns and his ugly beard and his furry legs. He sees a man and a woman at his feet. He sees that they have chains around them and that they're restricted somehow. They each have something that they would like in their grasp, but they are reaching for each other as well. But then they're not actually touching. The devil controls them. He tells them when they can touch, when they can eat, what they can do. He has them under his claw. The fool sees this and he asks, why do you do this? He says, because I am the devil. I am sin. I am the negativity that people generate in themselves. I am the one that is around when bad things happen. The fool says, thank you for your information. Thank you very much. And he moved on. The fool knew that it was just a matter of time before he was at the end of his journey. Next, he runs into a tower. He says, wow, what a morning. This is just lovely. And he sees the tower exploding and two people falling down from the tower and lightning and thunder sounds and flames. He gets very nervous. He sees puffs of smoke everywhere. He coughs and spats as he walks through it. He thinks to himself, wow, that's a terrible situation. He keeps going. There isn't much to learn from it except to watch. He comes upon a beautiful woman who kneels in a stream with stars all around her as the darkness has fallen. She pours and tempers just like the temperance angel. She sits and she ponders and she shows him how easy the water flows. She teaches him hope and guidance and inspiration and creativity. She allows you to shine with star quality. She speaks to him about sharing love, gifts, and talents. She also speaks of intuitiveness. He moves on, coming to the end of his journey. Almost, he sees the moon in all its essence. He looks at the moon and sees a reflection on the water and wonders how everything is not always how it seems. Things change. Sometimes he sees a face in the moon. Sometimes he sees a dog under it. Sometimes he doesn't. As dark as it is, he can still see the bright, beautiful essence of the moon. He learns a little bit more about intuition. Finally, the morning sun pops its head out. A boy rides up on a white horse. He looks at the sun in all its glory, realizes that he is coming to a path of success, good health, and good things are to come to him. He knows that he can feel it in every bone of his body. He's traveled so far, his legs are tired. He's growing a beard and a mustache. His hair's down to his ass. The fool is tired. This fool is exhausted. So, with that being said, he finally gets to the end of one path in his life, and that path is he gets to see the world. He's traveled so much that he has went practically around the entire world. To him, everything that he's seen has been all the experiences that life has brought to him has been exciting. It's been a great learning experience, a great quest for knowledge. So, with that being said, he smiled. He saw when he got to the end of his path all the people he had met, the sun, the moon. He had gone through everything. But he had realized something. He had realized that through all this, he didn't falter. He didn't miss a beat. He didn't lose hope. He stayed focused. He stayed and used all the powers that he had and had brought with him, the powers of the elements that he had in his little bag, helped him through. He was excited. He was happy. He was glad that he made it through this entire journey with everything in front of him. But the one thing that I didn't mention, I was supposed to mention, so I only screwed up one card. First he saw judgment, which was a clearing. The clearing was feeling exhilarated, feeling a euphoria, seeing the angel of light, seeing the wings, the feathers, how shiny they glimmered. He thought the angel was so beautiful. And the angel said, "Congratulations, you have made it. You have been on a clear path to spirituality and made it through. You've learned all the lessons you needed to learn. And now you've conquered the world." And there he has. He's felt like he's conquered the world. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, even though I screwed up the second to last card, if you could, please like and subscribe my video, guys. This is a little bit longer than I expected for the Fool's Journey, but I wanted to give you a little bit of an explanation so that you had an idea of what to expect. It was going to be a fairy tale. I hope you liked it. Once again, if you like my video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. Blessings.